Welcome to the Bodyguard podcast, where science meets natural healing to uncover the root causes of complex health issues. Your host, Christine Barnes, is a leading complex case health practitioner specializing in functional testing and personalized care. This show dives deep into clinical analysis, cutting-edge diagnostics, natural therapies, and holistic strategies to optimize your health and well-being. Your health is unique. Your healing should be too.
When it comes to our health, I don't think there is a conversation that is too awkward, especially with topics like this that deserve real, honest conversation. Today, I'm going there. We're talking about erectile dysfunction, or ED, but not in the way you're used to hearing about it, perhaps. We're not going to chalk it up to getting older or throwing a pharmaceutical Band-Aid approach at it. We're going to unpack what erectile dysfunction is possibly telling us about your body and why it matters, and how functional testing and a naturopathic approach can help men reclaim not just their sexual health, but their whole health. So if you're a man dealing with ED, or you're supporting someone who is, this episode is to give you insights, clarity, and hopefully some real solutions. So, why is erectile dysfunction, or ED, why is it important, and what is it? So, erectile dysfunction, or ED is the inability to get or maintain an erection that's firm enough for sex. Now, it can happen to any of us, that we're a bit tired, we, don't live up to expectations occasionally, for a lot of circumstances. But when this becomes a pattern, there sometimes comes a lot of shame, anxiety, and silence. And unfortunately, that then leads to avoidance of what could be a potentially serious health issue that's starting to develop. Because here's the thing, ED is not just a penis problem. It's often a warning sign of deeper issues in the body. It can be linked to poor blood flow, so think about cognition, early cardiovascular disease, it can be a sign of that. Low testosterone affects a very wide range of symptoms. It can be hormonal imbalances. You may be getting an environmental exposure to xenoestrogen. It also can be from high stress, and interestingly, cortisol dysregulation can drive ED. Nutrient deficiencies can drive ED, and ED can be a sign of those nutrient deficiencies. So many things that are involved here with this one symptom. Insulin resistance can be a sign of prediabetes, chronic inflammation, liver or gut dysfunction. So instead of thinking about ED as a standalone, potentially embarrassing issue, we need to see it for what it really is. It's a functional problem. It's a clue that the body is waving a red flag, trying to communicate, trying to send you a message that, hey, something is not right. In my clinic, when a man presents with ED, I don't ask, do you want Viagra? That is a pharmaceutical. Yes, a medical doctor can prescribe that, but even if you have been prescribed Viagra, it's not addressing the underlying driver. I'm asking questions like, how's your sleep? What's the quality of it? How many hours are you sleeping? Are you able to stay asleep? How's your stress levels? Do you wake with morning erections? How's your digestion, your energy, your mood, your bowel movements? Quite a few questions. Us naturopaths ask a lot of questions. We want to get a foundational understanding of where the potential issues are coming from. And another step that we take is exploring functional testing and blood work. So we want to look at comprehensive blood work. So we may suggest testing total and free testosterone, sex hormone binding globulin, estradiol, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, prolactin. Some of these sound like female hormones, don't they? But if you've got female hormones that are higher than they should be in a male, it can actually reduce your testosterone. So we want to check on all of these things. But we also want to have a look at some of the other aspects that may be out of balance: fasting insulin, glucose, cholesterol, triglycerides. And then we've got some functional testing that we can do for testing whether your cortisol is doing the lovely wave that it should be doing. So if it's not, if your cortisol is chronically high or, in contrast, flatlined, it will affect your hormones. So we need to know, is that part of this picture? Easy at-home test. There's no problems with doing that test. It's a functional test that I commonly refer people for. We want to have a close look at your thyroid, your inflammation markers, your liver function, and your nutrients. So there's quite a few tests that we can explore to check on the underlying issues. You may have heard my other podcast on a HTMA, hair tissue mineral test, and certainly that's a great foundational test. And I may then follow up with a vitamin and mineral blood test, also just to check on what's circulating as well. Now let's talk about the naturopathic side of things. So we need to establish your nutritional levels, what's happening with the lifestyle, and then we want to optimize it. So these are some of the things that we can identify, put interventions in place, and optimize. So when we're thinking ED, we want to optimize the diet to support hormones, ensure that we've got no sources of xenoestrogens or estrogenic-like foods or herbs in the diet. We want healthy fats, we want zinc-rich foods, we want antioxidants, and we want nutrients that stimulate nitric oxide and circulation, peripheral circulation. We also don't want to spike your blood sugar, so we need to look at food and your diet in relation to balancing blood sugar. And we can look at foods that help stabilize testosterone, support testosterone, and also we want to avoid foods that actually deplete testosterone. A lot of people are drinking a herbal tea thinking it's great for their health, but in fact it may be reducing their testosterone. So that's what a naturopath does, is check on those things. What are the obstacles? What might be an underlying driver for a reduced testosterone level? If there is any element of insulin resistant, we want to adjust the diet and treat that insulin resistance. And often we see a dramatic improvement in ED once the diet is stabilized and optimized. There are a lot of things in my toolbox for helping ED. Many herbs. I like to do a really careful selection of herbs because especially if we're identifying there's a lack of stress resilience, so we want to build that stress resilience, otherwise it can affect performance. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And the herbal medicines that I choose are chosen based on your pattern, your test results, your symptoms. Common nutrients, though, that may be considered, and I'm not prescribing here, these are just things that, are on my dashboard that I'm sort of considering. Are these important? At what dose, etc.? But zinc, magnesium, coenzyme Q10, I like to use the ubiquinol form, arginine, they all come into play frequently. but we need to have context before we start throwing the mud at the wall. And this is where our functional testing can be really helpful in directing not just what we use, but also how much. Chronic sympathetic nervous system dominance, e.g., living in the flight or fight space. It shuts down the sexual function. It's fine if it's short term, but if we're chronically in a sympathetic nervous system state, the adrenals then start becoming compromised, and you can't perform when your body thinks it's being chased by a lion. I just want you to, consider that visual. And if that's what's actually going on in your nervous system, we need to turn that around. So we can work with nervous system regulation with breathing techniques, some really targeted, guided stress management techniques, balancing sleep, quality of sleep, using nutrients and herbs for increasing parasympathetic nervous system activation. And there may be an emotional side of the intimacy, and or shame may have developed over time, depending on how long you've been experiencing this. So there may be many other things outside or in addition to diet, supplements, etc. So that's where a naturopath goes beyond taking a pill. So basically, in my experience, test, don't guess. We track progress. We test again in a few months, depending on how fast you adopt the interventions. I want to see your testosterone climb, and we want to see those erections become, although I don't have a look at them, but you report to me about the quality of your erections. And part of that is I want your cortisol rhythm restored, your inflammation down, and your confidence improved. So ED is not just in your head, although we may have part of this might be emotional. It's definitely not something to have to just live with. It's your body's way of trying to communicate with you. It's sending out a red flag going, hey, I need support. We need change. So you really need to listen to what the body's telling you and then take action. So for better circulation, better hormones, less stress, better nourishment, we need to make positive change. We need to establish where you're at with all of those aspects and take very directed change. So when we listen to that signal that your body's put out, we don't just fix erections, we build better men, better relationships, better fathers, better work friends. So if you or someone you love is navigating this, I want you to know there is another way. Functional testing, root cause understanding, personalized, highly individualized care that actually works. If you're curious about doing a full men's health panel or want to get started with even a portion of anything I've spoken about, head over to thebodyguard.com.au or reach out via our social media or email clinic@thebodyguard asking whatever questions you have. You deserve vitality, confidence, and connection. Let's rebuild it naturally.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Bodyguard podcast. We hope you found valuable insights to help you take control of your health journey. Want to dive deeper? Visit thebodyguard.com.au to learn more about our work, explore resources, and discover how personalized care can transform your well-being. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it with others on social media. Your support helps us reach more people looking for answers. Until next time, take care and keep prioritizing your health, because your healing should be as unique as you are. Please note the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The Bodyguard accepts no liability for any loss or damage arising from the use of this content. Always consult a healthcare professional.